Hi guys, can everyone hear me? If you can hear me, just put a 1 in the chat or say yes. We have about a 10-second delay. Hi guys, hi Colleen. Rosanna, welcome, good to see you here. Hi Amanda. Chris, Jewel, thank you for being here, you guys. Good, everyone can hear me, perfect. I am not good at this. I am not real familiar with StreamYards. Hi guys, hi Amanda, Cherish. Scotland in the house, good to see you. We're going to talk about a really important case today that's a little different for me. It's not just spirit box sessions. The kid we're going to talk about today is 24-year-old Daniel Robinson. Hi, guys. Stephanie, Candy, Tanya. Hi, everybody. It's so good to see you. Hi, Suze. Good to see you as always, my friend. Hello from Buckeye. Stephanie, I need you. Stay in here. I don't live far from Buckeye. And this kid, Daniel Robinson, went missing on June 23rd of this year, 2021, out in the Buckeye area. And what's really strange about this case, I mean, I don't know how many of you are even familiar with Daniel Robinson. If you are, can you put a 1 in the chat? If you've never heard of Daniel Robinson, please put a 2. Avery's mom, good to see you. Stephanie's in Tartessa. Okay, so you're super close. I'm sure a lot of you have not heard about this case. Silly has, silly me. I like that. Silly me. Chris has, Colleen has. Okay. So this kid is a geologist that did groundwater testing, and he was out in the middle of the desert in Buckeye, Arizona, apparently at a job site early in the morning. There was one other person at this job site at the time that I know of, a coworker. And the coworker says that he saw Daniel leave the job site around 9:15 a.m. and head west into the desert. So I know the family is getting frustrated because this case is not getting as much attention as Orrin and Orson, for instance, or Gabby Petito. And the family, has said that they believe that it could be a race issue because Daniel's Black. And I feel really bad about that. There's a lot of cases that I don't talk about because there's nothing to talk about. They don't share information. Police don't share information, or if the family's not sharing information, it makes it really tough to talk about. But this week I found out some more information, and I don't know how credible it is. It's a news article that we're going to take a look at. But we're going to watch a little video to get you guys caught up who don't know about Daniel. We're going to watch this video real quick. The Buckeye Police Department has not been a lot of help in this case. Basically, I'll give you a little short rundown. Daniel left his job site at 9:15 a.m. He was seen heading west into the desert by a coworker, apparently. I do know the coworker's name, but I'm not going to share that here. After the family couldn't get a hold of him, Buckeye police got involved, and they say they did helicopter searches, drone searches on foot, and had dogs out there looking for him. And, it's funny that a month later, his Jeep was found within 3 miles of his work site. So did the police really have helicopters and drones and dogs and people on foot looking for Daniel? Because feels like his Jeep was awfully close. Now, that being said, there's huge ravines and different things out here in the desert. And if you're on a top of a road, it's hard to look down in the ravine. You really do need to walk it to look. A drone might have spotted it. However, his Jeep is gray. So if it rolled over into this ravine in the shade, yeah, maybe it was a little hard to spot. I'm going to show you a video clip here if I can figure out how to share this, okay? And get you guys up to speed on this case. And this is about Daniel Robinson. Let's see if I can share this with you guys.
Tonight on Missing in America, we are diving into the case of Daniel Robinson, a 24-year-old geologist living in Arizona. His father, desperate for answers as to what happened to his son. Daniel has been missing, as we've told you, for more than 3 months, last seen leaving work on June 23rd. His car ended up here, crashed in the desert in a western suburb of Phoenix with no clues as to where he might have gone. His father has turned to private investigator Jeff McGrath to help. And what Jeff has discovered is raising even more questions about what may have happened to Daniel. Jeff is joining us live tonight from Buckeye, Arizona. Jeff, glad to be talking to you. I wish it were under different circumstances, but we want to find Daniel, and this is the first step in doing so. I want to start with what police are telling us. They have said they have found no evidence of foul play or anything suggesting that a violent crime was committed. Do you believe that based on what you've seen?
Well, I haven't found any evidence of a violent crime that has taken place, but there's also no evidence to say that it didn't take place. We do have a suspicious circumstance, so
what is it about? I'm sorry, we have a little bit of an audio today. What is it about Daniel's car that strikes you as off in terms of where it was found, the location, what was left behind?
Well, the damage to the vehicle, it didn't match the area that the vehicle was found in. It had some damage along the driver's side that is unexplainable by the detectives. It also had some intruding damage into the windshield that didn't match anything in the area as well. Plus, I also had the airbag control module report that tells me what that vehicle was doing 5 seconds before the airbags deployed and what was going on with that vehicle since the airbags deployed.
And what does that tell you?
It tells us that the vehicle traveled another 11 miles after the airbags did deploy on that vehicle. It also tells us there were 46 additional ignition cycles on the vehicle after the airbags came out, and that the report says the vehicle was traveling about 30 miles an hour for 5 seconds prior to its final rest, or airbag deployment, I should say. And that's not possible in the area where the vehicle was found.
So piecing that information together, how do you think the car got there?
Well, I think the car got there by somebody was still driving the vehicle after the airbags came out. And if it was dumped intentionally or somebody was joyriding and that's where it ended up, and once it got there, you couldn't move it out from there, it tipped to its side. Or Daniel was in it. We don't have any proof to say that he wasn't, but we also don't have any to say that he was in it.
But his cell phone, his wallet, his keys, all still left with the car. Jeff, people describe Daniel's behavior, those who worked with him on that morning that he disappeared, as odd. What have you learned about his state of mind on the last day he was seen?
Well, what I did learn was that he was tired. The odd behavior, that's the only definition that I've been told was odd, so I don't know what they really mean by that. But his behavior when he was at the job site was that he was tired and wanted to rest. And I think he drove off and wanted to rest somewhere in his vehicle, is what I think.
And if he were resting, he'd still be near his vehicle. The other question I have for you, are police still actively involved in searching for Daniel tonight? Where does the investigation stand on the law enforcement front?
The Buckeye Police Department has turned the vehicle and all of the evidence over to myself, my team. So I have all the evidence. So if they're actively investigating it, they don't have any evidence or anything to really investigate other than they can come out here in the desert with us and help us.
Is that customary for police to hand over evidence to a private investigator in a case like this or any other?
Not at all. No, I've never seen it in my career in law enforcement or as a private investigator.
Why would they do that? Did they say?
They said they told me they were done with the investigation. They say now that they have an ongoing investigation. So I can only go by what they told me in person, was that they don't have a crime, therefore they don't have an investigation. So they turned everything over.
All right, we're going to follow up on that, Jeff. Crime in the desert, not uncommon, as you know. What dangers do people face in the Buckeye area in Arizona, besides the elements of just being in the desert?
Yeah, the elements alone are by itself is bad. But we border Mexico, and we have a lot of cartel and mules that bring drugs through across the border. They're found in these deserts quite often, and that could pose a problem for somebody that stumbled across them. There's people that come out in the desert all the time. They shoot guns, they drink, they do all kinds of stuff. The desert is known to be a place where you can go and you can kind of do whatever you want out there. So there's a lot of dangerous elements other than just the conditions.
Jeff, I know you're a private investigator and you have about 60 active criminal investigations open right now. You typically don't take on these missing person cases. What was it about Daniel's disappearance and case that motivated you to take it on?
Well, what it was I wasn't familiar with the case when I received the call. So I looked into it, and I agreed to meet with Mr. Robinson. And when I did, he showed me one photograph that was turned over to him by the Buckeye police. And from the minute I saw that photograph, I knew that he needed at least a vehicle accident expert in his corner to wade through this. And that's when I decided to take it, and my team and I jumped on it.
And you've already found a lot of clues and evidence. Let's hope that these clues lead us in the direction of Daniel so he can be safely returned to his family tonight. Jeff McGrath, private investigator on the Daniel Robinson case. Thank you for your insight and for your time.
Thank you for having me.
Okay, so a lot about that in itself is weird, right? The vehicle was driven 11 miles after the initial airbag deployment. I know that sometimes if you hit a bump really hard in the desert or something, your airbags can deploy without there being an actual accident, right? But that's weird. And then you look at the windshield, and it looks like a huge rock or something was thrown or smashed into the windshield. That to me is also strange. So, you know, like I was saying earlier, it's a lot different when you're sitting, you know, at your desk and talking about cases but it's a lot different to go out into the desert and look the family in the eye, look into the face of a father that's looking for his son. It's heartbreaking. And I'm going to show you a lot of things here, some maps and pictures of the desert and things. You know, it's open desert. You would think that it would be easy to spot a body or somebody out there. But there's a lot of ravines. There's huge trees and bushes around, you know, creek beds and river wash areas. And so then you start thinking, well, if my vehicle crashed and it was hot that day, and where would I go? Well, maybe I would try to hide under a bush in the shade, you know, or but then you go look under a bush in the shade, and guess what? There's huge rattlesnakes curled up sleeping, you know, under there. Something is not right. So up until this point, all I knew when I went searching, and yes, I have a video where I went searching just a little bit after he vanished. In fact, 2 days before his Jeep was found, I went out there with Lane and went driving around. And anyway, this case is heartbreaking, you guys. So what I heard from the family is the father, David Robinson, who is ex-military. David said the police weren't really looking into it. They say that he left on his own accord and probably joined a monastery, right? So I don't know how many of you actually were watching my videos on Daniel Robinson, where I did a forensic astrology map, and one of the lines on the forensic astrology map does lead directly to a monastery. However, when I drove to the monastery, this is a Catholic monastery and it's mostly for nuns. The police said they believe he joined the monastery and became a monk. Well, a monk would be a Buddhist monastery, not a Catholic monastery, so it definitely is not this place. But anyway, that was strange. So we also know that his phone, his keys, clothes were found with the vehicle, right? His work vest, his orange work vest, shoes. I've since found out, there was a shirt and a pair of jeans that was actually inside out near the vehicle. I've also learned that the private investigator found one of his socks closer to his work site. The vehicle, the Jeep, was found almost 3 miles from the work site. The seatbelt was still hooked, fastened, and there was not one drop of blood anywhere in the vehicle per the Buckeye Police Department, as far as I know. So what is going on? Could he have just stripped naked, took all his clothes off, and walked out into the desert? I was looking up the weather. Hang on one second. Let me see if I can share this screen. So I was looking up the weather for that day because I was like, well, it's always super hot here. I wonder what the weather was on June 23rd in Buckeye. So let's take a look. So the 23rd is here. It was a high of 91 and a low of 81. So it wasn't that hot. So, would he have climbed under a bush eventually looking for some shade? I don't know. People keep telling me, leaving comments that say, you should really leave this up to professionals, leave it up to law enforcement. Well, really? Because a private citizen found his Jeep, a rancher, I believe it was actually found on the rancher's property, found the Jeep, and private citizens also found a skull in the area. So no, police haven't found anything. It was private citizens and searchers that found, the rancher found the Jeep, searchers found a skull. The skull is not Daniel Robinson, it's somebody else. So that's a whole nother mystery, right? So I'm going to play something else real quick here. Share my screen and show you this. Let me see if I can find it. Okay. The sun. All right, hang on one second. Let me find it. I'm not good at multitasking, you guys. Give me a second. Okay. I think it's this one. Let's see. Yeah, so this is an article that I found. Okay, let me scroll back up, sorry. Okay. So this is what this is Daniel. He is missing part of his right arm, right below the elbow. This is a picture. Can you guys see this okay? Maybe I should make this full screen. Picture of his vehicle that you can see here. Over here to the right, you can see his orange work vest. Looks like jeans. His shoes actually were there also. But this is new information that I just read this week, okay, that we had no idea about. And it could tell us a little bit about maybe if there was foul play involved, or maybe about his state of mind, okay? So, of course, the family is getting very frustrated, as you can imagine. It says they were constantly calling his phone, pleading with him to call us back, said his father, David. We didn't know what was going on. We know that Daniel does not ignore his phone calls. So it says Daniel's described as 5'8", black male, weighing 165 pounds, black hair, brown eyes, missing part of his right forearm, including his hand. A search operation was launched, led by the Buckeye Police Department, that covered, they say, 70 square miles of the vast desert. I don't know, because they missed his Jeep, which was only 3 miles away, right? Says they used helicopters, UTVs, cadaver dogs, boots on the ground, drones. Still blows my mind how they missed the Jeep, unless the Jeep was put there after the search, right? So we don't know that. So it's also funny that the seatbelt was still connected. Guys, what do you think about that? I'm going to stop and just look at some comments real quick. What do you think about his seatbelt still being fastened? No blood in the vehicle. Phone is in the vehicle. Keys. What do you guys think about that? I need some input, please. Super weird. Yeah, so far, I don't know. I mean, it almost sounds like he took all his clothes off and just walked away. So it would stop dinging, maybe. You mean the car dingly? Yeah, could be. If anybody has any thoughts on this, please chime in. So we're going to keep reading this. So the private investigator has the black box, and like you heard him say, the vehicle was driven 11 miles after the initial airbag deployment. The vehicle was started or turned over, 46 times during that time. That's super weird. This says my son's first initial crash is 4 hours after he went missing. So if he left his job site at 9:15, be about 12:15, they say the first initial crash is recorded on the Jeep black box, right? Then he says something happened. Also, there's some paint transfer from the vehicle. Okay, and I did see someone in chat saying maybe he was ran off the road. Paint transfer from the vehicle. From the vehicle or to the vehicle? I mean, was there a different color paint on the vehicle? Like somebody did run him off the road? Was it somebody that just bumped him in a parking lot of a grocery store and the paint just happened to get transferred there? Like, we don't know. So that is super weird. So then he says, this is his father talking. Then the vehicle was returned to an area near where we were searching. My theory is maybe it would try to throw us off. So maybe the vehicle was put there and pushed off the side to look like it rolled over. I mean, listen, it was found by a private rancher. And if you live out in Buckeye, I can imagine that private ranchers may get a little bit perturbed with people always driving around on their property, right? I mean, maybe he was just fed up with people running rampant on his land. Like, I don't know. And I know the rancher's name, and I'm not going to disclose it here, but we're just talking about theories and things that could have happened, okay? No traces of blood found in the Jeep. Unbelievable. So after all that wrecking, all that broken glass and everything, not one trace of blood was found in the Jeep. anybody find that a little strange? So then they found a skull. So let me look. I'm looking for a particular article here. Right, I'm going to switch articles. Hang on a second. Then I found this article. This was just a couple days ago, and this is something that none of us knew. So let me share this 1 second. Okay, this is new information. Okay, October 5th, 5 days ago. This said when the geologist Daniel Robinson went missing in the Arizona desert, he was obsessed with a woman he barely knew and disappeared just hours after sending her a desperate final text. This is according to the dailymail.com. I don't know anything about the Daily Mail. I don't know how reputable they are. So I'm just disclosing that. But Daniel sent a text to this girl, Caitlyn, that says the world can get better, but I'll have to take all the time I can or we can, whatever, to name it. What does that mean? The world can get better, but I'll have to take all the time I can or we can, whatever, to name it. He wrote to the woman identified only as Caitlyn. I'll either see you again or never see you again. So what does that mean, you guys? I'll have to take all the time I can or we can, whatever, to name it. I don't understand. I don't get that text at all. Anyway, 18 hours after that last text where he said, I'll either see you again or I'll see you never, says 18 hours later, Robinson turned up at a remote work site deep in the Arizona desert outside Buckeye. He stayed for 15 minutes. Well, how do we know that? Like, this is a desolate, remote area. It's not like it's an office building, right? Apparently there was one other worker that was there that saw him and spoke to him that day, and it says he stayed for 15 minutes and then drove off into the desert. Now, the other article I read said that the co-worker said he was seen driving west into the desert. So, media is tough too because they don't always get it right. Every article says something different. So I just take it for what it is for now. But this woman they're talking about, it says his obsession with the woman he met delivering her liquor while working his side job and his despondency over her unrequited feelings has up to now been overlooked. Yeah, this is the first I've heard of this. And it's also strange to me that I believe he lived in Tempe. So he had a side job delivering liquor. And we'll get to that in a minute. Apparently, this girl lived in Avondale, Caitlyn. And I want to reach out to Caitlyn. I would love to talk to you. If you have anything to say, please email me at afterliferesearch1111@gmail.com. Caitlyn, I would love to just talk to you. We can talk privately. We don't have to be on YouTube. But please, I have some questions. So if you happen to hear this, please email me. So he delivered her liquor, okay? Here's a picture of some of the searchers. That's not the day I was there. I'm going to get back to Caitlyn in a second, but this is from, I don't know who this was from. Please help find please help find Daniel. Imagine if this picture is the only thing you have while seeking answers to why your son is missing. Every moment, every second, every hour, every day that passes fights against hope. But I have faith, and faith gives me hope, and hope makes me not ashamed because of God. Can you imagine being a father and this is the only picture you have, the last picture that you'll ever have of Daniel or his whereabouts? It's heartbreaking, right? And I'm sorry if I'm missing your chats. I'm looking through all of this information. So here's what happened. Robinson, who was born without his right hand. This picture here is David Robinson. This is Daniel's father. Such a nice man. What a nice family. I met him when we went out to help with the search one day. But it says Robinson, who was born without his right hand, met Caitlyn on his side job delivering groceries for Instacart. So that's what I was saying. He lived in Tempe, but he was delivering alcohol in Avondale. I mean, maybe it's like Uber. You can just turn it on and he can like deliver things all the way home from his work site in Buckeye. Like, it's kind of weird to me. If he lived in the Tempe area, why would he be delivering groceries and things way over in Avondale? I don't know. If anybody knows that, please email me. Again, afterliferesearch1111@gmail.com. So for Instacart, it says he turned up with a booze order at Caitlyn's home in the Phoenix suburb area of Levine. Okay, Levine. I said Avondale. It's Levine. On June 12th. Caitlyn and a friend who was with her invited him in. So he went to deliver alcohol to her and they invited him in and kind of hung out, it sounds like, right? Caitlyn said she believed Daniel was very nice, and she and her female friend asked Daniel if he wanted to hang out with them. And apparently he did for a little bit, right? The police report says. Caitlyn said she and her female friend were drunk, and that looking back on it, she probably shouldn't have invited a stranger into her home. But then she says she thought he was harmless as he only had one arm and he was very short in height. So because he had one arm and he was short, they figured, he's harmless and let him in. So Caitlyn, whose last name is redacted in the report, says that her and Daniel exchanged phone numbers, but she says nothing else ever happened, right? So within a week of him meeting her, I don't know how many text messages or phone calls that were exchanged during this time, but within a week, he arrived at her house unannounced, only with a brief exchange of messages between them. He had texted her saying, "I couldn't stop thinking about you," right? This is missing flyer. Hang on, let me get down here. But by June 20th, his message says, "I love you." His message, he's texting her, "I love you." What is that, 8 days after he met her? So what else went on? They had to have had more conversations, guys, right? But by June 20th, his message says, "I love you." She tried to rebuff him. She told him, supposedly, "Honestly, you showing up at my house unannounced makes me extremely uncomfortable." She said, "I don't see us hanging out anytime soon." And the very next day, he turned up at her house again. So this makes it sound like he was sort of maybe becoming a little obsessed, right, with Caitlyn. I mean, he turned up at her house again right after she said, "I don't think, we're going to be hanging out." I mean, and that's really sad, maybe he was just hoping he finally found someone that he can really connect with, So then Caitlyn says, "This isn't normal nor acceptable." Caitlyn told him, "If someone has expressed that you've made them uncomfortable, you need to back off." Daniel was texting her, "Do you hate me?" She says, "I don't hate you, but please leave me alone." Caitlyn texted back, right? 15 hours later, he responded with his final text to her. 18 hours after that, he vanished. So 15 hours after her last text, he said, "Well, I'll either see you again or I won't see you again." 18 hours after that, he was gone. Like forever so far. So police said they were alarmed at his messages and suggested that this woman make an official complaint, and they advised Caitlyn about stalker laws and different things. Well, here's the person that was working with him that day out at the job site. It says workmate Roger Rutzman was also concerned about his colleague. He told police he knew something was wrong. So I don't know if this is the person that was actually out on the site with him, or if he had just worked with Daniel in the past. But he told police he knew something was wrong. He asked Robinson what was bothering him. And Daniel told him, well, what if there was a girl that you liked but you couldn't have? Well, welcome to the world of the rest of us, right? What if there was a girl you liked but you couldn't have? Well, that happens all the time. So the Jeep, if you guys can see this picture, let me make sure you guys can see that. Yeah. Doesn't the Jeep to you look like somebody smashed in the windshield with a rock? I mean, literally, it looks like something was thrown at the windshield, okay? I need to look at the comments here. Okay, I'm looking at your comments now, guys. Jen's Jules, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. I did do a forensic astrology map for this case, and I will be doing a spirit box session about Daniel. I haven't done one yet, just the forensic astrology map, but I will do one this week and probably upload it on Wednesday. Yes, we need a mass amount. Yes, need a mass amount of searchers to search a mile in each direction. Yes. I'll show you where the searchers have been so far. I do have a map with that, and I've been out searching myself. Jen's Jules, thank you again. You are appreciated, my love. It's very generous. I love you so much. Thank you. Now, this was one of my thoughts too, Charlie boy. I wouldn't be surprised if he was messaged to lure him out into that area and chased, and what happened next. Yeah, see, I just seems so odd to me. His clothes, his phone, his keys, clothes are inside out. Vehicle windshield looks smashed in. It was driven 11 miles after the initial airbag deployment. No blood in the vehicle. I mean, what? I just don't know. Was the car out of gas or the battery dead? 46 ignition starts is a lot. I know. I don't know. And he didn't say if the vehicle moved every single time the ignition was started, but I believe it was driven after the 46 ignition starts to the location it was found. So you know what? I think they did have search dogs start from the job site. Well, so Buckeye Police Department says they did. However, like the family said, the police didn't go out and start searching for 3 days later. We had rain. And 3 days later, they didn't start searching. But the vehicle wasn't found till almost a month later. So by that time, when we had multiple rains, and everything is suspect about this case. I mean, I read another article that said one of his coworkers said he went home that night after he texted Caitlyn, I'll either see you again or I won't. He played video games all night long, never went to sleep, and that is why the coworker is saying, he was acting strange. They said he was tired. Jeff, the private investigator, said he was tired at work. Well, that's probably why he was up all night playing video games. What kind of video games, we don't know. Right, starting the ignition 46 times would flood the engine. It doesn't make sense. Yeah, like I say, I don't know if it was started and driven each time, if it was 46 attempts to drive it, or if, after the 25th time it was driven and shut off again and started again. I mean, we don't know, all the details. Was Daniel's father in a relationship with this woman who I'm assuming is son's age? Daniel's father lives in South Carolina, and no, he didn't come out here till after his son went missing, so I don't think so. Oh, thank you, Stephanie. The RD was driving. What? Yeah, I'll have to take a look at that. I have no idea. Garden Girl Nancy, it's good to see you here, honey. Thank you so much. Thank you for the super chat. I love you guys so much. This case is important, right? The family feels that he's not getting enough attention, and it's just because we haven't had anything to talk about. You know, if the family would share a little more, you know, maybe it would help us all out. Thank you, Garden Girl. I appreciate you. Thank you so much. You're very generous. Well, we're going to take a look at something else here. Hang on just a second. Let me see what else I've got here. Okay. Let me try this. Okay, well, this whole StreamYards thing is not so hard yet. You know, you psych yourself out on things sometimes. Let's do, let me share this. Let's see. Okay. This is, I'm gonna take this off. Girl. Thank you again, Garden Girl, you guys, for the super chats. I appreciate you. So here's a map of the area that he went missing, right? So this is a huge mountain right here. I don't know, can you guys see my cursor? This is where his work site was, right? Out in the middle of nowhere. So this is Sun Valley Parkway heading south towards the I-10. This marker is Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus Road. Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus. And people go, well, you would think it'd be easy to find someone. It doesn't look like Tennessee. It doesn't look like the Grand Tetons. There's not a lot of trees. It's pretty much open desert. But man, it is so hard, you guys, when you get out there and you actually start walking. Anyway, this is where he was, in the middle of nowhere. I'm going to show you a different map. I did a forensic astrology map, and it is up on my channel on a video. Hang on one second. Gotta make sure we can see this when I bring it up here. Okay. Let's see. Okay, so I'm going to share a different screen here. The forensic astrology map that I did, I'll just show you some more information here, and I'll show you where the grid search has happened so far. Okay. So this is the forensic astrology map that I made, right, for Daniel. Hopefully you guys can see that. Let me click back over and make sure you can. Okay. So the worker said, I'm assuming Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus. So hoping you could see my cursor here. I believe his work area was here. Okay. Here's where he was last seen. This is the entrance off Sun Valley Parkway into. So the coworker says he was last seen at this intersection heading west into the desert. Okay. I'm going to zoom out slowly, not to make you guys dizzy or anything. This is the forensic astrology map that I created for Daniel based on the time and location he was last seen, right? So if you look here at this line is the line of the victim. Hopefully you can see my cursor. I don't know if you guys can see that or not. The line of the victim, look where it goes, you guys. So I made this 2 days before his vehicle was even found. So, I mean, a month later, you know, they find his vehicle. But look where the astrology map line runs and where his Jeep was found, right? This other one down here where we parked, that's where we parked when we went to help the searchers search. But it's just very strange, right? That, you know, one of our astrology lines goes directly through, right in between where we parked and where his Jeep was. I know, super weird, right? And if we go out a little bit further, this outside line is an 11-mile radius. So the circle farthest out is an 11-mile radius. So if they say his vehicle was driven 11 miles after the first initial airbag deployment, what? I mean, it could have been 5 miles out and 5 miles back to that location. Was he just driving in circles around that location? Like, we don't know. However, one of the other lines on our astrology map runs right to and through Our Lady of Solitude Monastery, which is the reason I went there in my very first video. It's the first place I went was to the monastery, because that's what I thought. Maybe he joined the monastery, right? Maybe he just said, forget it, I'm done. But like I said, when I did research about the monastery, it is a Catholic monastery. It's mostly nuns. It's not a Buddhist monastery where you would have monks. It doesn't seem like it would be that easy for just people to just join and live there. So I'm going to come back and check out some of your comments. So what do you guys think? I mean, I just don't get it. This has been really tough. And last Sunday, I drove out to Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus with Wayne. Not today, a week ago. And maybe it was 2 weeks ago. The gates closed from Sun Valley Parkway and Cactus. And there's a big sign now, instead of Daniel's missing person flyer, there was a brand new sign that says private property. Before the gates were open, there was a missing flyer of Daniel posted on the gate, and you could drive in there. So I don't know what is going on. If anyone has any information about this case and about Daniel, please email me, afterliferesearch1111@gmail.com. You can go to searchfordaniel.org to sign up for searches or for more information. I'm going to share another screen here. Give me 1 second. So if you go to searchfordaniel.org, and we go to, where is it? I think it's this. This is the map of the search area, the grid area that they have cordoned off, right, for the search. So I'm just going to put this in perspective here. This is the grid area that they would like to search, or that they're interested in, right? And I don't know how many searches there's been, 10 searches already so far. And from all of us going out there and walking these grid zones, this is all that's been searched, you guys. I mean, all of this area still needs to be searched. So if you live in the Buckeye area, like I say, if you have a 4-wheel drive, I have a Kia Soul. you know, there's a lot of sandy washes and things that I can't get across. And you got to remember, if I walk, you know, a mile or 2 miles out, now you got to walk 2 miles back to the car. You know, I'm not the youngest chicken in the chicken shed. But look at, this is all that's been searched out of this whole area so far. I mean, this family needs help, you guys. This is ridiculous. This family needs help. I do not know the location of the airbag deployment. No, I'm sure the private investigator knows that information. They ran him off the road, a rage crime. He was targeted. And maybe, you know, when we were out there that day searching, there was somebody shooting in the area, firing guns, right? We also had an announcement of a mountain lion in the area. They did find the mountain lion den, and it is actually marked on the map, searcher's map. Thank you, Stephanie Johnson. I appreciate that. If you actually sign up at searchfordaniel.org, you will get a notification like the night or a couple days before the search saying that it's confirmed. There will be a search, what time everyone's meeting, and all of that. And we would appreciate any help. Yeah, we just parked and walked, and you know, we've been trying to stay with where the family wants us to search. They give the searchers grid locations to clear. You walk in a line 10 feet apart, clear an area, a grid, and then move on to the next grid, right? Yeah, and it feels like, I mean, I'm sure that the private investigator has talked to the gentleman that last saw him at work, right? I mean, I'm sure they've talked to him, like, I mean, maybe they had a fight, and, you know, who knows? Like, Garden Girl says that 2 people should be on a work site, especially in a remote area, you would think. And I guess there was. But it's just so weird, you guys. I bought a drone, and I didn't buy a drone. Lane bought a drone, and the camera is phenomenal, which is why we tried to go back a couple Sundays ago, and now we can't get in there because it said private property all of a sudden. Could he have been set up by this girl, like by somebody who knows this girl that was upset that he kept contacting her or showing up at her house? I mean, yeah, I guess it's possible, but you would think, I mean, law enforcement has his phone. It was in the vehicle. So if he got any text messages or phone calls, you would think that that would be found out, right? I don't know, guys. I'm going to do a spirit box session for Daniel. I haven't done one yet. But I'll do it and upload it this Wednesday. I wanted boots on the ground for this one. You know, I want to be able to work cases in my area. I've worked on Alicia Navarro. I've worked on, I think 2 or 3 other cases. Tom Thayer here in Arizona. There was a couple others I can't even think of at the moment. The dump site would be fairly close. Industrial zones nearby. I would think so too, right? Like he can't be far. You think they took him somewhere? Like, I don't know. So that's the thing. We don't know if it's, you know, is it foul play, or did he just decide to disappear and walk off, you know, into the desert? And I don't know. Mountain lion den reported was probably a mine shaft. It could have been. although they said it was verified to be a mountain lion den. And I did see something, an article a minute ago, that said that the police found 2 really deep mine shafts, and they sent cameras down, which was like 75 feet or something. And that they didn't see anything in there. Did they really do that? I don't know. Airbags will deflate on their own or with the help of a knife, sure. It's possible. Anything at this point is possible. It just seems like it's so hard to find him. And it's, like I said, it's not like Tennessee. It's not like the Grand Tetons. There's hardly any trees except near the washes. And otherwise, it's like open desert with these ravines. You have to look down. I just don't get it. Good morning, Judy. How are you? I see you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We just need to get this word out about Daniel. His family deserves a little help. The police department in Buckeye, I don't know what is going on with them. They just gave up the search. I mean, someone will spend thousands and thousands and millions of dollars looking for Brian Laundrie in this swamp, which I don't believe he's in. But they looked for a few days for Daniel and said, we don't know, he joined a monastery. What? Almeida says, my son was murdered 11/21/04, never got any kind of closure from the police. Unbelievable. I mean, it's so sad, and there's so many missing people. I'm so sorry you went through that, and that's terrible. I'm so sorry. I'm sending you prayers. Just know your son can see and hear you, so talk to him often, and that is truth, 100%. Next spirit box session, maybe the spirit of the skull found can come through and help with this case. Maybe. I did go on to the Maricopa County Medical Examiner's website. I do see where they have created a photo of the person, a male, in there as an unknown person. So it's still listed as an unknown person there. They don't know who it is. They said the skull could have been there anywhere from 1 to 5 years, which, I mean, that's a long time. So, yeah, maybe. I just don't know, guys, but I wanted to bring more attention to this case, and I appreciate all of you guys listening, and I hope that we can get some more eyes on this case. The family deserves it. You know, Daniel deserves it. And so what, even if he did walk off on his own accord, does that mean people shouldn't look for him and try to give his family closure and bring him home to the family? Like, no. If there's any mental illness or drugs involved, police often chop it up to suicide or voluntary missing. And that's what they're kind of saying, is that, well, he just left, so what do you want us to do? And to me, that's a little sad and disgusting, although it does happen. I've read articles just this week where they found people that said, yeah, I'm here, leave me alone. I don't want to be found. So, but there's no activity on credit cards. He never went back to his home. I don't know. We're definitely sending prayers to you, honey. I'm sending everyone prayers today. We all need a little help, right? This world is rough. Life is hard. But to those of us who just keep pushing forward, you know, bravo. And I see you and I appreciate you and I'm walking with you, just know. Yeah, let's not make another cold case out of this, right? Please. I will be out there again with taking the drone out in this area. I might have to just try to find another way to get in and get back there because now this gate was locked and I don't know. We'll have to check it out. But I know there's more searches coming up, so search for Daniel.org to sign up for a search. It helps if you have two-way radios, bright colored clothing, lots of water. We'd appreciate your help. Hope the spirit box can help. Yes, we'll see. I'm going to work on that next. And, I don't have much more to say on this case. I appreciate you guys being here. Let's just keep Daniel and his family in our thoughts and our prayers. And we can't forget about him. Every person is important. Every person. Let's go drone, Wayne. Yes, sir. I'm ready. Anyway, thank you for being here, everybody. I appreciate you. Let's put up some prayers for Daniel and his family, and for every other missing person out there and their families. I can't imagine. Thank you, guys. I'm sending you love, and I will see you soon. If you haven't seen my last Spirit Box session about asking Gabby about where Brian Laundrie is, the Spirit Box session says he's still in Florida. So, is he? Guess we'll see. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you, Susan. Thank you, everybody. I love you so much. I will talk to you guys soon. Bye.